U.S. President Joe Biden has arrived in Mexico for the Three Amigos summit. And Biden was welcomed by his Mexican counterpart in Mexico City. Immigration is expected to dominate the talks between the North American leaders during the summit. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will depart for Mexico this morning. Trudeau and the U.S. president will hold a bilateral meeting on Tuesday. Ottawa says the Three Amigos summit will focus on building the economies of the three countries, including increasing collaboration across the electric vehicle supply chain. Well, with more on the Prime Minister's trip to Mexico and the Three Amigos meeting, we're joined live by CTV's Judy Trin. Thank you so much for joining us, Judy. While all of the focus should be on expanding the economies, it's hard to ignore what's been playing out in Mexico, especially at some popular tourist resorts for Canadians.
That's right, Jamie. We have been told that there might be increased security, but whenever the U.S. president is part of talks, security is at a high level anyhow. But for example, I can tell you that usually media does not travel with the Prime Minister's motorcade, but for this trip, we will be traveling with the motorcade. So that's an example of an extra layer of security that's taking place at this talk. As soon as we get off the plane in Mexico City, the Prime Minister is going to head into a meeting with North American business leaders in which he is going to promote Canada's position and ability to power the green future. But at the same time that he's holding talks with the business leaders, President Biden will be meeting with President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. So they're having their meeting first. There is no denying that at this meeting, Canada will take a back seat to Mexico. The U.S. has 65 million Americans, or 15% of its population are of Hispanic heritage. So this is a priority, developing that relationship with Mexico. And border issues, we know that Joe Biden was just at the border yesterday. So these are issues that are front and center in terms of the president's mindset right now. So Canada is going to have to work hard to get its voice heard on the issues it wants to promote, Jamie.
Yeah, and we know that historically when the Three Amigos have met, oftentimes that the Mexican government has done some sort of major crackdown on some of the cartels. And I'm wondering if there's any criticism, or if there's people that are talking about the fact that the Mexican government went ahead and arrested El Chapo's son days before this summit as just a show of strength. But who knows really what's going to happen and if he's actually going to stay in jail.
That's right, Jamie. We've seen in local media in Mexico this discussion that this is just a, almost like a PR exercise. But there's no denying that Joe Biden is very concerned about the skyrocketing fentanyl deaths in the U.S., and he wants to deal with this issue of illicit drugs. But although that's a concern, there are other pressing concerns on the agenda as well. The leaders will meet to discuss not only border issues, but they will also meet to discuss what's going on in Haiti. Whether or not Canada and Mexico and the U.S., what can we do to help in terms of staving off the gang violence in that country, as well as helping the citizens there deal with a cholera outbreak. The other issue, of course, is Ukraine. How will the three countries work together to continue supporting Ukraine in its war against Russia? And of course, the Indo-Sino agreement. Now, China will factor in this. For example, when we talk about the economic agenda, Trudeau really wants to push Canada's resources, our ability to supply the world with critical minerals that power our electric vehicles, our cell phones, our laptops. But most of the minerals that we have in Canada are in the ground. So we need investment to dig them up and to process. So he will be trying to secure interest and even investment from Mexico and the U.S. In regards to that. I should point out that there is a real desire from the Americans to wean themselves off their dependency on Chinese critical minerals. The Chinese corner 80% of the market. So Canada is in a good place in which we can offer something that the Americans want, but we have to make sure our voice is heard on it, Jamie.
CTV's Judy Trin, we appreciate the update. Have a safe flight. Thank you.
You're welcome.